Good afternoon. Does that sound all right? Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Chuck Wilson. I'm the executive or the CEO at NSCA, and I'm also the co-founder and chairman of the board of directors of an organization called the Partner Alliance for Safer Schools. PASS, as we call it, was founded about 9.5 years ago, and we're up to 6 different revisions of a guideline that I'll share with you as to what we're doing here. So for today's session, the attendees will learn about how integrators can play a vital role in school safety. We all have kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews in schools, and we just want to talk a little bit about how the technology can be applied to make schools a safer place. Talking about systems integration, talking about funding a little bit, where schools are finding the funds in order to provide the technology that we're implementing today, and how to shift our position from becoming one of many vendors to becoming a trusted advisor for the schools. So I'm going to skip through this presentation real quickly. Who is PASS? Again, it's a 501c3 organization. It's a charitable organization. There's 65 of us. We're all volunteers. There's no paid employees at PASS. We're all volunteers that have been involved with school safety for many, many years. So we got together and just created this guideline. So the guideline and the companion checklist that comes with it is a byproduct of some 65 experts in the field of schools security. We also have a board of directors that I chair. One of our members of the board of directors is a lady that lost her daughter at Sandy Hook Elementary. We have another person that was involved in the Arapahoe shooting out in Colorado here, and people from Parkland School and others, where they got together with us and said, we want to make a difference as well. So they joined the team, and we're all working as volunteers to make schools safer. And I'll show you how we get that done. The challenge in schools right now is we want an open environment. We want our kids to have a great learning environment, and we don't want to treat it like it's a prison. We don't want to lock this place down all the time. We want people to be able to move freely and be able to enjoy their academic experience, but we want to keep them very safe in doing so. So PASS created the solution, and we developed a program that involves tiers of security and layers of security with an added-on level of components that go into the school that incorporate the technology within that. And I'll show you a little bit how that looks. So the idea, and the image up here is the front cover of the PASS guidelines. We're up to revision 6, and then there's a checklist that is kind of an audit that our consultant members use to go through like a risk assessment or vulnerability assessment, and then looking at what products are already put in place, what systems are in place, and which ones aren't working or aren't there in the first place. So it's a way to start with the very fundamentals, the very basic things that you would do first, and then work your way to the more advanced steps within that. So the layers that we created are the district-wide layer. That's the policies and procedures that govern the school, their posture on cybersecurity, anti-bullying software technologies and things. It's really getting the training, the roles, the policies, procedures down pat. And then we look at the property perimeter, and that's anywhere from the parking lot, the playgrounds, the athletic fields where the buses pull up, how the school is designed in the first place to take advantage of what's called a CEPTED rating, which is how architects design schools based on where they sit on the property, how well they can be protected from just the natural surroundings of the school and everything. And then we look at the parking lot perimeter. A lot of the bad things start to happen in the parking lot. So we use technology and the surveillance, some AI type technology as well to kind of predict what is going on in the parking lot that we may want to know about ahead of time instead of waiting until the incident occurs. So it's kind of a predictive sort of thing. And then in doing that, we work our way into the building perimeter and then into the classroom. And at every one of these layers, we have tiers of technology and things that we're doing. The very basic door locks, door intercom kind of things, all the way up to video and video analytics, visitor management systems, and all the various technologies that would fit in place there. So with PASS, what we started off with is working with educators on really what do we do? What are we trying to do here? and then what do we prioritize? What do we do first, then what do we do after that and after that? We're on our 6th revision now, and the reason there's been 6 of them is there's been things happening over the years. So this incident in Nashville was a school that they shot through the glass and got in. Uvalde was a series of, it's just a huge amount of compounding mistakes that were made for basically the procedures that they went through. Radio communications, a lot of the things just broke down that day. And so when we look at the incidents that have occurred, we go back to the guidelines and we look at, should we reprioritize certain things based on what we have learned from what the bad people are doing. A big part of PASS is also the all hazards approach. So it isn't just looking at active shooter situations. What we look at is the things that happen every day in today's school, in our schools here in the United States. A lot of it has to do with drugs and gangs and knives, and sometimes there's other weapons, but it's bullying, it's activities that take place, it's vaping in the bathrooms. Vaping is a huge thing in schools right now that has led to a whole bunch of other incidents taking place in the school. We have a school district that we use as a beta site, and last school year they had 21 students that had to go to the hospital. A couple of them actually died as a result of a vaping accident. There's a vape system that has been put into that school district now, and they've had 0 incidents since then. So the vape detection software lets us know that somebody is vaping in that bathroom, and we should go in there and try to correct that. We can't put cameras in the bathroom, but we can put cameras right on the outside of it to see who went in and who's coming out. There's a whole bunch of technology that really links into how we integrate that type of technology in with surveillance, access control, and other things. So the layers are basically going from the outside of the building into the inside, and then we overlay that with all of the different technology within there. So a big part of why I say that we're changing our role from what was just a vendor on bid day to a more of a comprehensive member of a security team is that we have become an integral part of this in that we help form the integration team. So a systems integrator plays a big role in the IT network, the development of the network, and then also all of the different technology that goes into the way that the schools are being integrated today. We've taken a seat at the grown-up table, if you will, in terms of what it takes to make our schools safe by integrating with all the other stakeholders in the organization. So the security director or a superintendent of schools, the principal, we are right there alongside them with creating the technology plan and how they're going to seek funding for that technology. And then most of our past partners now, they are part of this thing. They're helping them decide what to do first, then what to do after that, and so on, which is the core premise of the past guidelines. So the document or that one-page sheet I handed you there's a barcode on that, and that barcode will enable you to just go right to the PASS website, download the guidelines. It's a free guideline that you can use, and you can take the checklist and the guideline, and you can kind of compare it to where your kids go to school or share this with your kids' school, whatever. So it really works well in the concept of we provided something for free that every school can use, and it was designed by people who didn't have something to sell. Not a single one of us on the PASS board are manufacturers or people that are trying to sell a school something. We're people that just have very in-depth knowledge from all the experience on how to make schools safer. So it's a different concept. Our industry didn't do a very good job, in my opinion, of going out there and trying to sell technology to schools because everybody was trying to sell whatever they had. You know, the surveillance people were competing with the door lock people for the same funding, and it just was a comedy of people trying to sell their own stuff and then downplaying the need for the other things. And so the guidelines help create kind of a level playing field for all of that. This is the image that we use a lot. We call this our bubble slide. And the bubble slide is an indication of what system integrators have as far as a challenge in working with schools, as well as it shows the frustration on the school official's part there. So that slide to in the upper right-hand corner there, that image of that person with their hand over their eyes, that's what our industry has done to the education professional. We've gone in there and spewing out all of our technobabble about how all these systems work and what they need to have for those, is that we're talking to people that have no idea what it is that we're even saying. They don't know the difference between a VMS system and an access control system and all these things that we know all about. They're just trying to figure out what can we do to make our kids safer with the funding we have available. When you look at those systems, I think you can read where it says access, intrusion, fire, video surveillance, and all that. The way that we put those systems in today is fully integrated. So there's interconnectivity, and a lot of these are network type applications that are fully integrated with one another so that we can use mobile devices, panic devices, and we can do one button type lockdowns of a school. We can do egress. We can do all these things in a very consistent way so that the systems complement each other, not compete with each other the way we do it. One of the core principles with PASS is this concept of plan, prepare, and practice, and that's where we get into the roles and the training, the policies and procedures. What we have found is that with the technology integrated up there, a lot of it causes more problems than it does good if we don't have good policies and procedures on what to do. A classic one is, should teachers keep the classroom door shut and locked during class periods, or shouldn't they? Another one is propping the outside doors open. Uvalde taught us that, it doesn't do you any good to have all of these door locks if someone leaves that door propped open. That's where people can get in, people can get out, the whole thing. So what we do is we try to assemble the team. The concept with PASS is we want to be part of this team. We want to make sure that everything that we do is compliant with building code and standards, basically. And then we have to develop this roadmap. So our people are helping develop the roadmap for how the emergency responders communicate with the school, how we use duress alarm buttons. One thing you'll hear a lot about is legislation in most every state now is called Alyssa's Law. And Alyssa is one of the students that died at the Parkland shooting down in Florida. A law has been created and pushed through many states now that will require us to have a duress alarm button in every school. So our members, our NSCA members, system integrators, they're busy as can be. Like in the state of Texas just passed this law, and now every school in Texas has to have that. Well, there's only so many people that can put that in. There's only so many integrators, and when we look at the math, our members would all be busy doing nothing but building out schools for Alyssa's Law for the next year, and it has to be done by next school year. So there's just almost no way that this is going to get done, but it's going to become law, and almost every state now has it in their legislature, a bill that would require the same thing. So basically, using the ability with a graphic display or GPS or some type of geofencing, if a teacher in a classroom is in a duress situation, sees something they can't deal with on their own, they would press a button on a body-worn type device or in their desk or through their phone and be able to get help coming right away. That signal has to go directly to the 911 center. It can't go just to the office for them to decide. The law would require us to have that go to the emergency responders as well. So trucks will be rolling at the same time the principal finds out that something's going on in the classroom. And it's a big sweeping change in how we're going to have an improvement in safety in our schools coming up. So the illustration here just shows all of the different ways and all the different people that have to be involved now, and the guidelines help build this out. It gives you a step-by-step direction as to how to develop that security team, how to do the systems integration, and then how you go about getting visitors and students and everybody bought into, and the parents bought into the concept that they can't just walk into that school and walk out with their kid kind of thing. So it's a whole different world that we're entering into, and the guidance that we have given with the past guidelines has now got us to where we have over 7,000 schools in the United States, school districts that are using our guidelines. Almost every school in Denver area, Littleton and many others, are using the guidelines. So they build every school as a PASS Tier 1 school that has all the basic fundamentals of this type of technology. Not the most advanced stuff, but at least they have the fundamentals covered as the schools get built. The other thing that we can do here in Colorado is we have a program called Safe to Tell, which the schools, when you sign up your kid to go to that school, you're also signing a waiver saying that your kid's social media sites will be monitored. And so we're monitoring social media to find the cyberbullying kind of things that happen. And if you don't sign that waiver, then your kid can't go to school in that district, basically. But Colorado has had so many incidents that they take school safety far more seriously than states that have not had these incidents. But now we're seeing that in Tennessee, we're seeing it in Texas, Michigan, Indiana, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. The state after states are buying into this, and they're all using the PASS guidelines as their format. So when we look at the layers of protection, we look at the tiers, the components that we're talking about are policies and procedures, the roles and training, architectural, which is how the building is being built. We talk about the communications, which is paging, intercom systems, and so on. We talk about access control systems, video surveillance, and then the alarms and detection type of things. And that's where that duress alarm thing comes into play. So this is what we do, is we take this all apart and we say, what are the very basics in Tier 1, and then what it goes into Tier 2, 3, and 4. The things that you'll see with video analytics and AI and a lot of the enhanced technologies, they'll sit in Tier 4. And so we have schools that are implementing all of that. Again, Littleton, Colorado, there's 19,000 students in the school district here. They've got about, I want to say 16 buildings. All of them are at Tier 4 now. So they have incorporated the latest and greatest technology. Littleton is out front, and a lot of it is because of the demand of the community. They had a shooting that took place here, and then this is the home of Columbine, of course, which started a lot of the work that we're doing here. So anyway, that's how PASS came about. That's how PASS is going. It has grown like crazy. We have over 100 partners now, PASS partners, and they're people that can go out and do a risk assessment for a school. They're people that can talk about systems integration. They can go out and work with schools, and they use the PASS guidelines. They put their branding right alongside the PASS branding. They've had to go through a pretty significant training program to get there. And so one thing led to another, and now the big difference was made in PASS about 2 years ago when schoolsafety.gov, the federal government, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, several different agencies, they had created a guideline about 4 or 5 years ago. 2 years ago, they decided to just reference people to PASS. So we get thousands of requests from teachers, from administrators wanting to use the guidelines and learning a little bit about PASS. I did a webinar recently for the schoolsafety.gov organization and a group called CEDIA, which is a cybersecurity group within the federal government. On that webinar, I had 22,000 people sign up for it. Like, we're used to our webinars where we have 100 people or 200 people. Imagine 22,000 people watching a webinar about the PASS organization, school safety. It mentions Ohio on this slide. Every school being built in the state of Ohio has to go through the state architect's office, which the state architect's office uses the PASS guidelines to talk about the placement of cameras, the placement of access control technology, how to do the duress alarm, how to do all the communications, and so on. So it's become kind of an industry standard or a school standard. The different groups have endorsed it. The federal government, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas report that came out said that every school now that's being built in Broward County, Florida, will have the PASS guidelines to be their model for how technology is. So it's basically taken out of the hands of an architect or engineer or an integrator to just say, I think a camera should go over here, and one should go over here, and one should go over there. what they're doing now is they're saying, we're going to put it right where you guys say to put those things, and have that field of view, if you will, have the audio be at a certain level, have everything working in accordance to this, and then that way they know what they're getting. That way they haven't fallen into the hands of a salesperson trying to tell them that you need 4,000 cameras and you don't need access control, or all you need is metal detectors at the entrance. Then it doesn't matter what you do inside, because nobody's getting by, nothing bad's getting by the metal detectors, and that, as you all know, has been a huge fallacy there. So this is what PASS is, and this is what we created it for. And I tell you, it's been quite a passion of mine to do this, and it's really been a big difference in school. We have a lot of evidence-based support of this. We have several school districts where we monitor kind of like what they've been able to detect and what they've been able to prevent. And it's just amazing the kind of things that when they built out the school safety plan that they have and implemented that, how many things that they have prevented. One school district not too far from here, because they developed this program and got the funding and put the systems in, they saved $750,000 on cleaning up graffiti. And we didn't even think about graffiti when we started that, but it's a huge problem in schools. People coming by, spray painting things, and then they go to a lot of work to clean that up on a daily basis. And so we, because of where the cameras were at, how we detected things, how we can monitor suspicious activity and stuff, it made a huge difference for them. So this is really what we did, and this is what we've been able to accomplish. And again, it's just been a wild ride to see how a group of volunteers can really make a difference within, our nation's school security situation. So that's what PASS is. What can integrators do? Really just apply to become a PASS partner or to download the guidelines. They're free to use. I would take it no matter where my kids went to school. I would take the guidelines to the principal's office and say, here you go. We don't have to guess anymore about where to put things or what to do first and what to do after that. The checklist is free. The guidelines are free. Share the guidelines. Download our blogs. Every other week we put a blog out there that talks about how the best practices are being done in schools. We got one coming out today or tomorrow that talks about the state of Massachusetts and how the Superintendent's Association, the Sheriff's Association, the PD group, and the Fire Chiefs Association have all endorsed the PASS guidelines in the state of Massachusetts. So we're pretty sure that every school being built in Massachusetts now will follow the PASS guidelines. So everybody's got on board with it. But get involved, become an advocate for your own school. When they talk about what to do for school safety, print out the guidelines and hand it to them. Say, here's the best thinking of these 65 experts out there. So, and that's what we created it for. We have now donations rolling in, so people are helping us fund that. So now maybe one day we'll be able to hire someone to do the work that I've been doing for free in my spare time. So, anyway, that's what PASS is. Get involved. NSCA.org is the associate. That's my day job. So you can go to nsca.org and look at what the system integration organization does, passk12.org, and then that's my email down there, cwilson@nsca.org, if you have any questions for me. So I think, are we on time? So we're good with time. What I'll do is, instead of taking questions from up here, because it's real hard to hear, I'll just come down there, and if anybody has any questions, just stop me down below, and we'll go through that. So thank you.